Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all well. It's Patriotic Christian here speaking, and of course, little Rocky, he's here. Although he's suffering from an ear infection at the moment, but he's getting better. Guys, I want to talk about something really important here. And I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. And I don't want to sound, how can I say, too harsh. But we need to, whenever I speak with people, I'd rather them know the truth about what's really going on. Now, recently, I have been contacting and I have been in touch with so many so-called influencers, YouTubers, people who I've shook hands with, had photos with, people I've done security for. Those who speak and have been guests at the Unite the Kingdom rallies, or have ties with those who go. And I've also tried my best speaking with some politicians, and in fact I managed to get a response of a Mr. Nigel Farage. One that I wasn't expecting, to be honest with you, but contacting anyone on GB News via their email, you can indeed actually get a reply from them. They do genuinely reply. And I wasn't expecting Nigel to reply, because this is the second time, in fact, that Nigel has taken his own time to reply to me, and I'm sure he does to everyone that emails him or has some kind of admin that emails on his behalf. Only God knows, Nigel himself. We really do need to think now about the future of Britain. And I'm going to be honest with you, and you're not going to like what I'm going to say, but I want you to hear. The future of Britain is looking very bleak. The way Britain is already is bleak, but we are looking at the identity of Britain going. And I believe it is a war, or perhaps a battle, that we won't win. And there are plenty of reasons why. And I've sat, and I hate to be that one, because in the past, I have always pointed out those that have been negative, that like I am being now. And I've been rather optimistic that we can win. And we still can. We still can. But it's those who we believe that are representing us. I really do not believe for a second they genuinely believe themselves or know how serious of a situation we are in. And instead of doing what they should be doing with the platforms they have and the reach that they can have amongst their platforms or their channels, some have decided to step back. Some have decided to flee. And some are going to do the complete opposite of what they've said they were going to do in the first place. Even if Reform UK take office in 2009, or whenever a general election takes place. It won't be that general election that will be the most important, and I want you to listen to me. It will be the one after, or the one after that. Currently, we have a generation below us, our children, that are being brainwashed, indoctrinated, and having ideologies put in their head that don't align with the fabric of today's society, that are not the same as the beliefs that you and I hold. So we're going to find ourselves divided in the very near future, in the next 15 to 20 years' time. Those who become my age will have different ideas to what we have, and those below them further will have different ideas. And I want you to imagine what government would look like, what the political spectrum will look like in 20 to 30 years from now. Independent parties are flourishing like there is no tomorrow. They're popping up left, right, and centres, like there are with independent MPs that are standing on simply one cause. We've seen this. There are 5 MPs currently in Parliament that are standing just for one cause, and that is the conflict that is happening in the Middle East between Israel and Hamas. They've managed to get their seats because of one cause. That's in today's society, where we believe we are a silent majority. We have let that happen. But not only that, instead of using our brains, we let in the Labour Party. And because of that, we have basically brought on our own demise. And the state of the country now is due to us and the ballot box. Not myself. I mean, for myself, I voted reform. But unfortunately, there is still a very large number out there of people who are not awake. And worstly, I am going to tell you, there are people out there with opinions and beliefs that they cannot and will not change, regardless of how much you ram the truth in their face. You can tell them black is black until you are blue in the face, and they will still say it is white. We are at a point now where the generation below us are going to be exactly the same. This was all predicted, of course, by that ex-KGB agent Yuri Kamezmanov, or whatever his name is, years ago, many years ago. And also Enoch Powell and many others that have said that Britain will eventually fail if we're not careful. And what is needed is radical change. Now you see, every Saturday, a protest takes place in Manchester, Bradford, Leeds, London, to do with what's taken place in Palestine. But yet, there is no one in our area, our little camp, our movement that is going out every day or every week or once a fortnight or once a month to put a simple protest on outside the Parliament, outside the Senate, outside the offices in Scotland or Northern Ireland. And I have pleaded with so many of our so-called influencers and YouTubers to speak with me about this. Some of the ideas that I have that could help unite the movement together. I've come up with an idea of an app that you can download from Play Store where you can pay £5 to become a member. And that simple £5 will go towards the demonstration that we have. And the more people that we can get on board, we can use this and use the receipts, because some trust is gone with the Unite the Kingdom movement, and we know this for a fact because of what happened with the Peter Lynch buckets. It's not a taboo anymore. People are aware that that money did go missing. It did line the pockets of those it shouldn't have, and also went up the noses and nostrils of those that it shouldn't have. And whilst Tommy was in prison and didn't have a say in this, there are some people in his admin team that have answers, let's say, to give from questions that need to be asked by certain people that are not willing to ask those questions yet because they're waiting for the right time. The right time is now, guys. We should have never got used to the words stabbing, shooting, bloodshed, or anything like that, what we're seeing take place in our society. Yet, it seems to be the norm. The Britain we once knew and once loved has totally gone. The Britain I grew up knowing and loving is no longer here. It's no longer safe for our children to play out in the streets. It's no longer safe for women to walk alone through cities at night. And yet, every Deliveroo or Uber Eats and Just Eat driver could be one of those who have just criminally, illegally landed on our shores that we know nothing about. They can do anything with the food that we've ordered. They could be anyone. We have no records of them, where they've been, if they've fought before, what they've done in the past. Do they have a criminal record or not? And we're letting them knock on our doors, the doors of our homes, the homes that have our children in, the homes that we live in. And if that is not a concern already, then you just wait. We have also had leaks from the MOD of the secret movement of between 25 to 100,000 migrants and refugees that we brought back from the war in Afghanistan. The media were told to keep quiet. So was Parliament. They were told not to speak. There was a super injunction put in place so that we, the British people, could not know anything about it. And yet today we hear a story of a British family kicked out of a home so an Afghan family can move in. That Afghan family may have been one where the father has helped our British soldiers in Afghanistan. But I don't look at it like that. Our soldiers shouldn't have been there in the first place. But when we were there, people weren't helping us. We were helping them. We were helping them fight against the Taliban. And yet we still to this day cannot acknowledge that we have lost that war. No one is willing to say it. America lost that war. Britain lost that war. America left billions of dollars worth of equipment, military equipment, behind as a gift for the Taliban. We look like fools. The Western world has fallen. Europe is being trampled on. And we know where we're heading, and it's not going to be pleasant. And the very fact that there's some of those that we look up to, some of those that speak up on our behalf, that can reach millions of people with one video, that are up and leaving because they no longer feel safe. They don't have the grit, the determination. And I'm sorry if you disagree with me and you think that, they should move. No, they shouldn't. What happened in World War I and II? Did you see our men get up and flee? They stayed and they fought. Because that's what it means to be a Brit. To stand your ground. To look after your loved ones. And yes, we are a tolerant and welcoming people. But we also have a line that you do not cross. And that line was crossed many, many years ago. Back to when Tony Blair was in charge. Now I've contacted Liam Tufts and asked and told him. I messaged him and said, I have a range of ideas that I can help you with. And I would love to come on and talk about my uncle, who was a lieutenant colonel in the army, who the Sun said, or the newspaper, the Sun, actually used the title, one of Britain's most highly decorated officers has died. That was my uncle. I used that in a video that has just been uploaded. But I also wanted to go on Liam Tufts' show The Dozen to tell everyone how we can save Britain and what needs to be done. And what needs to be done is action, action, and more action. We need to be demonstrating, not 3 times a year as a celebration with a few speakers, showing the left that we are diverse because we have a couple of people from the minority background speaking on stage. And let me tell you, I've been backstage at these rallies. I've shook hands with those who have spoken on there and spoke with them personally. I've done security for them. And I've been there to witness the arguments in between the admin and the security. I know things that you lot will never know. And I don't want to begin to let things go out like that. But we are more divided than you believe. Let me tell you that from now. In fact, there is threats being made between one side of our movement to another side of the movement. And the movement could fall apart if a simple video was made or released. That's how fragile this has become. And I'm warning you now because I want to be honest with my subscribers. I want to be clear. I don't want to give you false hope. And more importantly, in the past, there were those that were saying it's too late, and I would point at my finger at them and say, with that attitude, it will be. But I think they're right. Because our politicians are the only way that we are going to be able to change things, unless, which I do not want to happen for the life of me, the children, or the history of Britain, or the future of Britain. I do not want a civil war to take place. But I believe genuinely that's where we're headed. And it's one that we will not win. And I can tell you that. Because we as British people now are way too divided. There was even talks, and I put up a video on my previous channel, which sadly I cannot trace, but some of you may remember, of this American pastor who was friends with someone from the House of Lords. And they were already discussing terms of surrender in regards to a Islamic caliphate forming and us being under threat by Islam. Or if Israel was ever to be taken over, which is a nuclear power, if they were to be taken over by Iran or the Palestinians or any other Islamic state, if they were to be taken over on the dreaded day which they want to happen and take place, which they believe in their faith, in their ideology, that is going to take place because their prophet said so. When they force that day of reckoning, so they say, to happen and take place, that is when they will head then for Europe. And like I said, Europe is just like us, just like Britain. The people are divided on so many issues and topics, and the generation below are being taught the complete opposite of what we believe, of what we make as our identity as a nation. Already, we've got over 50% of the people, of men, saying if a war was to take place tomorrow, would you lay your life down for this country? And they said no. That's the men of today. Not boys, men. How much less men will we have that will be willing to lay their lives down in 20 to 30 years' time, when we become a minority in the future? How are we supposed to win a fight against people who love death more than we love life, when we simply cannot put our burdens aside and some disagreements aside to become one people? And the very fact that the political spectrum has splintered and fractured into its many groups and parties like it has, is showing that even our political establishment is being infiltrated as we speak. We have Jeremy Corbyn and an Islamist setting up a political party right now, which will see Nigel Farage into number 10, because it will divide the Labour Party, of course. But Nigel doesn't believe in the concerns that we have of demographic change. He doesn't believe in mass deportations. He doesn't believe in remigration. He believes that we just simply fix our culture, that we force those to integrate and assimilate, when we know fully they will refuse. They will simply refuse, and the left will find a way to defend them. It's a heavy fight we have on our hands, and without breaking any international laws or laws that we have set up ourselves upon the decade since Blair was in office, we are not going to be able to fight back. It's as simple as that. Politically, or through any type of protest. And unless something radical, a political party that is radical enough to make those changes, like UKIP. Now UKIP, Nick Tinconi, for all his efforts, I believe he is an incredible man, and his message is true. But the problem that we have here is that people won't follow him simply because he's heavy on the Christian side of things. But it's you guys that are watching this now, whether you're Christian or not, and you all know I am. It's up to you to choose now between that or the other one. It's Christianity or it's Islam. And with Christianity, you of course will have that freedom to be an atheist or an agnostic or whatever you want to be. But when it comes to the other one, those freedoms are different. And you only need to look at some of the other countries that are already run by that ideology to know how Christians are treated, to know how non-believers. And it's time to get realistic. And I have been thinking, who can I next contact? What can I do? And locally, I've been involved protesting against this one issue that we have here, where I'm living. Putting pressure on the council to do something about that, which it has become successful. But if you knew what I knew about how divided those who are leading the Unite the Kingdom movement are, and you knew the things that I knew about some of the histories of those that organise these events, I don't think you would have your hope in these people much longer. And those that we're seeing flee because they're saying it's better for the business, it's safer for their family. To me, it's all just excuses. And our misery is lining the pockets of those. Every super chat, every membership, every political party as well that sets up some kind of page or account where you can help their cause or support their endeavours to fight on your behalf. How many people do we have now fighting on our behalf? Nigel Farage, Paul Golding, Tommy Robinson, Carl Benjamin, Lawrence Fox, Maya Tusi, Liam Tufts. Who else? You got Katie Hopkins, Alex Belfield, now he's out, Reverend Simon Sideways, Paz, Shohab Shahil, the voice of Wales, Danny Roscoe, Bob from Speaker's Corner, the German lady, I can't remember her name, Vicky Richter, even the American guy, Don Keefe. We have Jeff Taylor. We have so many people on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter that are talking about the problems that we have. Simply discussing the same things that GB News and Talk TV are talking about. Yet, during a cost of living crisis, we support them by watching their videos, by doing super chats, by becoming members to support them, which I have no problem with. But please tell me, how on earth is this going to help us? How on earth is this going to save Britain? Okay, the message might spread further. But this has been going on for far too long. For years now, the same message has been put out there by Tommy Robinson. And I followed him since 2009, when he very first started and set up the EDL. I followed Tommy. I was very young. I was about 19, 20. Very young. But I knew what he was saying was true, because it made sense as to what I was experiencing at the same time. But since those years, that message has done nothing. Yes, his documentaries have woken up some people, but it's not enough. And like I said in my last video that I've put up, we still have the majority that don't want to have nothing to do with politics. They don't want to have nothing to do with the news. They are not bothered. And my generation, people my age, you go speak to the majority of people in their early 30s and ask them about politics and see what they tell you. They don't have a clue. Anyone my age and under, it will be very rare for you to find someone who genuinely does know what they're talking about or is on our side of the spectrum. We are talking not a majority anymore, we are talking minority. The only way that we can save Britain now is if we show up in ridiculous amounts of numbers at demonstrations, and we put in the most hardest grit, determination, and we put in as much hard work as we possibly can. And we do this in every town, every city, until we have woken up and got on board those who simply ignore the news and politics, those who don't usually want to be involved. And we get them on board and we let them know what's happening. That's when the majority will be awoken. And by all means, the political spectrum is going to splinter even more. It's not like how it used to be, where we had Labour, Tories, Lib Dems, and that was it. We have now got Labour, Tories, Lib Dems, the Green Party, UKIP, how many independent parties and MPs? I can't count. There are loads. We've got Paul Golding's Britain First. We've got another, there was another party I seen the other day, and you've got Ben Habib's new party, Advance UK. There's talks of Rupert Lowe's movement becoming a party possibly in the future. And then on the other side of the spectrum, we've got Jeremy Corbyn and that Islamist setting up shop. We've got that other lunatic that Nigel Farage thinks is a good force of good. Oh, what's his name? George Galloway. If that's his name, someone, Mr. Galloway. We've got so many people there. And we have great speakers. We have great people that if they put their heads together and put their issues aside, the likes of Douglas Murray, Katie Hopkins, Tommy Robinson, Carl Benjamin, Maya Tusi, and his godfather, what's his name? Who does his own commentary? He's got Peter Andre, or Andre Walker. Not Peter Andre, sorry. Forget that. Andre Walker. That's one for a mashup. Andre Walker. If we got people like those, and the one that set up the Culture Forum, Gerard Batten, And MPs like Ben Habib, there are so many that we can put together and say, listen, work as one. One. Just one. And we can get Britain back. The little issues, the arguments, the little things of, oh yeah, we don't want to put Christianity too much in the faces of those because we might upset the Muslim vote. Or we don't want to talk about mass deportation too much because we might upset some of the Labour voters that have come to reform. We don't want to talk about this or that or the other. No, let's stop kidding ourselves. Stop trying to be smart and hold your cards close to your chest. Be open, be bold, tell the people how it is. We are already being betrayed by the government, by the media, by the establishment, and by the deep state. We know there's a deep state, and we always have done. We've gone on about the deep state for years. There's no conspiracy no more. And we know this now because of that super judgment that got put out for even the media and politicians were told to not ever speak about the Afghanis that we were able to transport all the way from the Middle East back to the United Kingdom. Whilst you and I were sleeping, they were getting off at airports and we housed them, looked after them in secret. It was kept quiet since 2021 because we thought we would help them. We were already helping them in Afghanistan fight against those who were trying to take over. And we lost. Yet we're too ashamed to admit it. We lost a war that we shouldn't have fought. We should be ashamed that we even did it. But again, whose fault was it? It was Tony Blair's. And I still back the soldiers that went because they would put their lives down at a moment's notice if they were told to. And any soldier that has pledged their allegiance and their lives and their duty to our royal family and to our country, they should be backed, supported and followed and trusted, regardless of whether we were right or wrong, or found out later we were right or wrong. Just imagine if we did the same thing back in World War II. If we brought back some of the Germans that helped us, some of the Nazis that we used and got information from. Here, come here, we'll give you a home. Just imagine our great-grandparents doing that. Can you for a second believe that took place? Or would have took place, or could have took place? No. Not for a second. Because back in those days, even if you decided to walk away, or you decided to go against what you swore to do, you were punished. And sometimes it was, back in the early days, by death. They would shoot you if you were a coward and wouldn't fight. I love my country and I don't want to see it fall. But I genuinely do believe that those that we are following, those that have the potential are really not that concerned enough to do the job. Watching Nick Tenconi is probably the only hope I have with his work. But even then, I don't believe he would make a great Prime Minister because he doesn't have the experience of a politician. Not like Nigel Farage does. Not like other politicians who have been there and experienced firsthand what it's like in government or parliament or any type of political place of activity. And you can put a random working class man in an office, but unless he knows how to turn on the computer and work things, we are fighting a battle that we cannot win. And I really do hate to be that one that doesn't have any more hope. I really do. But I'm just being real with you. Reform UK is not what you think it is. You'll find that out soon enough. And this video will age very well, believe me, if YouTube allows it to. This video will age well. Reform UK will not be the answer to the problems, and they are not the solution. And I thought they were. I genuinely did think they were the solution. They are not. Neither is Tommy Robinson. Neither is any of the influencers or YouTubers that we have discussing, talking, debating, or having podcasts about the issues we face today. The only people that can change how Britain is or is shaped at the moment is us. And there are two ways that we can go about this. Now, like I've said, I have many ideas. I have paperwork that thick of ideas with all the information included about apps, with all the problems that we'd face because of it, how to overcome them legally, everything like I've put in so much hard work over the years because I want to make this country, I want to save this country, I want to make this country great again. And I also want it to be the beacon of hope for the rest of Europe, so Europe can follow us in what we do. And they can save their nations, states too. And we have to be radical. This means mass deportations. This does mean remigration. This does mean clearing out and also banning ideologies completely. You know the ones that I'm talking about. This means demographic control, so that the population never gets replaced. This means a change in the electorate and how we vote. This is complete radical change, complete eradication of some laws, policies, and decisions that have been made in the past, so we can better our future. But first we must unite and put our differences aside. If you are one of those that, oh, I don't like Christianity, so I don't like UKIP, please, UKIP are not going to force you to become a Christian. What they are trying to say is that it's the principles, values, and morals from Christianity that forged the democratic society we have today. That's all they are saying. And they want to put back in the schools the singing of hymns. It didn't hurt us. It didn't hurt me as a child, and I grew up as an atheist. It didn't hurt me as a child to sit on a cold floor singing a few hymns in the morning before school and saying a prayer during lunch. It's that, or it's praying 5 times a day, going to Mecca once a year, and having Sharia law imposed across the country. Would you like that? Would you like Sharia law police? Would you like to not be able to own dogs, eat bacon, drink beer? Or would you, women, like to be valued half of that of a man? I really do not believe for a second that any of you understand fully how serious this is. Because in the minds of those opposing this, this is a holy war. The very income they receive from universal credit, I've heard this from one of their mouths, from what they call an imam, a teacher, an Islamic teacher, or leader, as they say. They teach the faith, they hold like a priest, if you like, but for Islam. They said on a video that I once put up, which got deleted, of course, that the universal credit system is us paying jizya, which is a tax. Jizya, apparently the income from us taxpayers is our jizya, our tax to them, whilst we're in this war that we do not know about. Some of us do know that we are currently at war, but it just doesn't look like it because not a bullet has been fired yet. We are at war. And whilst we speak, there are many establishments, many places in our country that are being infiltrated. And we're talking from the education system to the police, to our forces, to our government, political parties, all being influenced, just like we've seen with the grooming gang scandal. And all we see now from the government that we're supposed to trust, the people that we are supposed to tell what to do, is scandal after scandal after scandal. None of them can be trusted, whether they are new or old. You cannot trust a politician and should never trust a politician. So we're stuck. What can we do? The only way we can go forward is if the likes of Nigel Farage, the likes of Ben Habib, the likes of Nick Tanconi put their burdens aside and join the working class people, like myself, like you watching, like those who want radical change, those who want Britain back in its former glory. And it will take a lot of hard work, and it may cost a lot of money. And we may be frowned upon by the EU. We may be frowned upon by the United Nations. But we will certainly have America backing us. And so long as we have that relationship with the USA, we will then be a beacon of hope for Europe and other Western democracies and democratic countries, that they too can follow suit and we can help them keep their country the way it is. Because you take a look around, you see what's going on in Sweden. like I said, if you have an X account and you have access to what I have access to, and you follow the same accounts I do, you'll see it all kicking off. Italy, Spain, France, Sweden, Norway, Germany, Portugal, you name it. Finland. It's happening everywhere. It's happening everywhere. And we're talking, again, to match the level of those who genuinely believe they are at holy war against us. We need to have the same might as them. And they love death more than we love life. That is their own saying. That is their own motto. And how do you fight against such a people? How do you contend with such a people? You can't. We can't. And if it was to take place, like in the olden times, a proper war, like what you've seen take place with the Crusades, the Ottoman Empire, or World War One and World War Two, if that was to take place today, or what's taking place in the Middle East with Palestine and Israel, if that was us now, England with Wales, but with this certain demographic, shall we say, living in Wales, took over Wales and started fighting us, we would lose. Because we are too divided here. At least in Israel, they know who they are. And patriotism is a must there. And just imagine having to live in such a country that every home has to have a bunker, that every street has a bomb shelter, and that you have to live knowing that a missile system is just a normal thing like a firework display. And having a missile defense system to protect your loved ones, the Iron Dome. Just imagine if that Iron Dome wasn't there, how Israel would look right now. And I believe World War III won't come because of China or Russia. It will start in the Middle East, and it will head towards this way. And there's many videos I've watched, many things I have written down, many videos I have saved, and if I had a platform that had, let's say, 200,000 subs right now, the very first thing I'd be doing would be mobilizing those who follow me to protest. And I would do it every 2 weeks in a different area. And whatever was given would be proven with receipts so that the people know that their support is being used genuinely. But I wouldn't stop there. I would go and encourage, and I would go and help, and I would seek help also from others, and I would try my very hardest to get those who could work together amazingly to put their burdens aside to seriously save this country. Because if we let our differences fail us, if we let our differences be the reason that we let this country go, the debt we owe our ancestors will be so big that when we face them, if there is an afterlife, which I believe there is, I believe they genuinely would turn their back on us because we are no longer who we used to be. And I hate to say this, and I hate to be a person to bring such negativity for you to listen or watch, but it is the truth. Like I've said, there's things I know and things I've heard, things I've seen and experienced within the very little threads, shall we say, and connections of people here, there and everywhere that you guys trust and follow. And whilst they put up a video that looks glamorous, that has this person on, someone that you like, someone that talks well, because of colourful backgrounds, lovely podcast rooms they've hired, with their hunchy voices, pretty faces, let me tell you, they are doing it for one reason and one reason only, to line their pockets out of the misery that me and you are suffering. And you'll see that. You'll come to realise that very, very soon, if you haven't already. And believe me, some are already on the same wavelength. Some have already messaged me saying, is it true about this? Is it true about that? And I can't sit there and lie or pretend anymore that everything is going to be just fine, because it's not, unless things change. I'm telling you for nothing. Some people really do need to give their head a wobble. And also, confessions need to be made. Apologies need to be made. Debts need to be paid. And explanations need to be given for us to move forward. And what's worse is September the 13th is coming. And of course, I support Tommy Robinson's message. Of course I do. He's right. Everything he says, everything that comes out of his mouth, he's right. But what's annoyed me most about him, especially recently, is knowing that he's just set up this app called, he set up an account with Mingled, this app, where you can ask him a question and get in touch with him. He doesn't tell you it costs £40 per question. It's on an app where you can hire people to come on your podcast and become guests, and you can ask questions from certain influencers or those who are well known. And for £40, you can get in touch with Tommy Robinson during the cost of living crisis. Now, yes, he has his bills to pay, but didn't Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, help him pay them? Didn't Ezra Levant promise also to pay for all his bills? How many times have you and I personally donated to Urban Scoop? How many petitions have we signed to help him? Yet he always needs help. He always looks good. He's always wearing a fresh, nice outfit. Stone Island jackets. His son's doing pretty well as well. Driving around in Spain at his age in a nice car wearing a Rolex. And of course the admin team have been given excuses to give, like the Rolex is a fake one and the car that he was driving was a friend's. And then we have Peter Lynch with the buckets of money that went round, the buckets. Where did that money go? Go and ask his family. And go and ask who went there afterwards and gave them the money towards the funeral, but also some cash spare. And he won't put his hands up and tell you. You probably all know who he is. And he deserves more recognition. And I believe a bigger platform. And also, this man needs more hope. Because he could be the change that everyone is asking for. And I'll give you a hint. But I'm not going to say too much. But he is working class. And he lays bricks. And I think you all know who we're talking about. And if you knew what took place on the Stop the Isolation March, with some of our security, with some of the crowd control, volunteers that took their time out, ex-police, ex-vet, ex-army, security officers, all sorts, that took their time off, including myself, drove to London to make sure everyone was safe, and they all went tits up. And we found out something during that day. Something that, if got out, would probably destroy the very fabric of the Unite the Kingdom movement. And I don't want to be the person to do that. But let's just put it this way. There is someone there that shouldn't be. And it is my belief that Tommy will be given a what would you call it? A resolution to fix it and get rid of that person, or things will be let out. And we don't want to see that ugly head turn its tail, because that means all the hard work, all the uniting, all the celebrating, all the time, money and dedication and loyalty that every single person has made be it travelling from Scotland to London for the day, whether it was on August, February, June, October, whenever you went there to London, to one of the rallies or demonstrations, all of that would have been done in vain. So I am not going to be the person to reveal such information. It's not my, let's say, it's not up to me to do that. It's up to someone else to do that. And they will, I believe. I just wish they would hurry up and do it. But, like I said, there's bigger fish to fry here. And that is you guys. Now, I've already got Prevent on my back. My name's already on their list. And I'm sure a lot of yours are. Yet you don't know about it yet. But you will, soon enough. When you get the knock on the door asking if they can talk to you. And you're not in trouble. But they just want to have a chat. But, I'm going to do my best, as I always do. Don't think I've given up because that's the last thing I would do. I'm just making you aware. And I'm just telling you how it is. Truthfully, from my heart to yours. That radical change is a must. And it's the only way that we are going to be able to save this country. And it needs to happen sooner rather than later. Because the longer we leave it, the less of a chance we have of saving it. And whilst every day that goes by, hundreds more of them come in. Yeah, we're not getting hundreds more on board with us when we should be. So I'm going to contact those again and keep contacting them until they've had enough. And I'll keep making my content, and I'll keep coming up with ideas, and I'll keep doing what I'm doing to try and get the attention of those that I need the attention of, so that we can push some of these ideas forward, bang some heads together, and get something moving. So that we can mobilize those who are willing, those who do love this country, those who want to save this country, to make sure that their message, our message, is heard. Not just once a year, twice a year, 3 or 4 times a year, but every other week at least, in different towns, different villages, different cities, from London to Wales to Glasgow to Belfast. That's what we need to focus on. That's what needs to be done. And we keep doing that until we physically cannot do any more. Because eventually, we will wake everyone up. And we will get that message through to the government and to those parties that need to hear it, that need to hear our voice. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have watched up until now, Thank you very much. I don't ask for money. I'm not asking anyone to become a member. I don't even have memberships set up on my YouTube channel for a reason. All I ask is for you to like, for you to share, but for also you to message those who do have platforms and tell them there is someone that is willing to literally work day and night as hard as they possibly can. Someone who has ideas to unite the country. Someone who wants to create an app where you can hear news from the likes of Mayor Tusi. This app idea I had is incredible. It would be where you could get the news from Mayor Tusi and Andre Walker. There'll be a chat forum for everyone to socialise in, where you could meet. Even a dating section for those of you who are single and you're all patriots and you have the same values and morals, where you can meet up and date. And that's what we want, to join people together. But also a place where other people can bring their stories forward, where we can celebrate people's stories, people's family members that have fought in the wars, where we can all be in the same community, sign the same petitions. And if we had, let's say, 900,000 people join this app, we can get petitions straight into government like that. We would be able to do whatever we wanted to do. We would be able to go wherever we wanted, and people would know where we are going, because only those that we trust, those that we allow onto the app, that we, would know what we are doing, what our message is. And like I said, everything would be proven. So if money was to ever be used or become a thing of the app to use for a demonstration, or for it, receipts will be shown. So you know that there are no incidents like there has been in the past with some of these demonstrations. And to use a man's funeral as an excuse to line your pocket, to me is it angers me, it makes my blood boil. But, so that app would be useful. That's one of the things, one of the suggestions. But it's also working together with those in Wales, those in Scotland, getting more people with their stories on board. Working class people. I don't want celebrities. I don't want the movement that we have at the moment to just come because there's celebrities on stage. Because that's when we're doing things for the wrong reason. When people will turn up just to see Mr. Jordan Peterson. And you'll attract the wrong crowds as well. You'll then turn the demonstration into a target place, a target practice for those who oppose us and our beliefs, our opinions. So that's it. And usually you're seeing me laughing, cracking jokes, but I had to be serious this evening because I just got to be real with you guys, okay? Things are not what they seem. And I just want you to really take on board everything that I've said and know that I mean it, not to put you off of anything or anyone, but to alarm you into how serious of a problem that we are in and how soon we need to act. And I promise you, I will keep bothering those who have the reach to the public, to a lot of people, to not subscribe to my channel or anything, but to work with me and hear my voice and hear my plans and put those plans in place. I don't want anything out of this. I don't want my name to even be involved. I just want to pass things that I know would work on to those who can. And I am a very persuasive person. I was a former salesman. I could literally bridge people together if necessary and mediate between two people and bring them together. People like Nigel Farage and Tommy Robinson. You probably think that's impossible. I probably think that's the easiest task I could do right at this moment. I've done more difficult things, believe me, but if we really sit down and explain the depths of what we're facing here, and truly, and I have everything down, everything saved. All the videos to show those say that here you are. This is what the future looks like if we don't do this. Here, take a look. And that's all it takes. A bit of persuasion, a kick up the ass, a wobble of the head, and a shake of the hand. And on we go. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I bid you farewell, and I'll be seeing you soon. God bless you all. Take care.